name's McKernan. I am an artist and illustrator, and I live in Nashville, Tennessee, and I work with watercolor. And so, if those of you reviewing this are familiar with my work and you've seen it in person, more than likely you've seen that my work is not under glass. I choose to present it in kind of a different alternative way, and a lot of people are really confused about how this happened. Yes, it's watercolor. No, it's not on canvas, it's not on wood, it's not on a board. This is watercolor paper. And I wrap it, just like canvas, on stretcher bars. So I'm going to walk you guys through this process, how I do this. I've been doing this for about 4 years now. And I've learned a lot of things about what to do and what definitely not to do. But first, I'll tell you why I do this. When I was in college a few years ago, you know, you're broke, you don't have any money, but you want to show your art, but you have to buy frames and glass to put it in. It gets really expensive really quickly. So I wanted to find a way to do this more affordably. So first there's that, and then second, there's something really sad about watercolor when it's under a frame and under glass. Like, you just can't experience it in the way you could if it were presented in this way, where you can get up close and personal and see the texture and, you know, feel it if you want to. I don't think people really do that. But, so I've been doing this since I figured out how to do this. I haven't gone back unless, you know, I really have to, but I prefer not to. Because this is, I think this is a really interesting way to present watercolor. So first, what we're going to do, is you have your stretcher bars. You can buy them at any art store where they're in different pieces and you stick them together. Or if you're really fortunate like I am, you married into a family of framers and they can buy stretcher bars, cut them and join them themselves, and pass them on to you, which is amazing. They're fantastic people. So that's already been done here. And then, since wood is acidic and it will eventually hurt the watercolor paper over time, you want to seal it. So what I've already done on here is I put a couple layers of gel medium. Most people use gesso. I'm just using gel medium because that's what I have on hand, and it does the same thing. So this is where you start, and this is where you end up. When you're done, your watercolor paper is going to be kind of like a drum. It's going to be very tight. It's a great surface to work on. It's not going to bow, and the back is going to look like this, ideally. So I'll just walk you through the process from here. Welcome to the bathroom. As you can see, right here I have a plastic tub filled with water already, and it's inside the bathtub. And you might be wondering, why don't you just use the bathtub? Here's why. Because unless you scrub your bathtub every day, disinfect it, and, you know, get all that soap scum off, which is awesome if you do, but if you're a normal average person, you probably don't have the time to do that. So, this is a better solution because your paper doesn't want soap scum on it, doesn't want residue left over, you know, all the things that we do in the bathtub. We don't want that on our paper. So let's get a clean tub, fill it with water, and get your sheet of paper. Let's see. Your paper should be about 2 inches wider on each side than your frame is. We want to do that so that we can wrap it properly. That also depends on the depth of your frame. Mine is about 1.5 inches. So you just want to make sure you have ample room for that, because you'll be in trouble if you don't. From here, let me see. I hope this fits. Okay, I think we're going to be okay. Because this tub is so small, I roll up my paper and then gently stick it in, like so. Okay, it fits. And just get it comfy. Try to keep it submerged. It might want to float out. That's okay if it does. And leave it in there for 5 to 10 minutes. Okay, so as you can see, I have a towel set up here. That's where the paper is going to go. Make sure you have this nearby. And you are also going to need stapler gun and extra staples, because when you run out and you have to go get them, your paper might be dry by the time you come back, and it's kind of a mess. So I'm going to get the paper. As soon as I set it down, I'll be working very quickly. It's really important to work quickly because as the paper dries, it becomes more difficult to wrap it around your frame. And when that happens, you're not going to get it as tight as you want to, and then the paper will bow when it's dry. But that, that doesn't happen very often, but it's just something to keep in mind. Okay. Okay, here we go. Don't put it this side up. You gotta put it down this side, like I almost did. Forget to do. Okay, so first you need to decide whether it's going to be portrait or landscape. In my case, it's going to be portrait, so I'm doing the long side first. First thing I do, staple the corners of each side. And because this is paper, of course you want to be really careful not to rip it, but it also has to be as tight as you can get it without ripping it, of course. And for this, I recommend paper that is 140 pound or 300 GSM. Anything less will rip, anything more will be too hard to fold. So, this part, this part, I'm not going to staple this yet because I'm just going to make the folds and let them settle, because if I do that, if I staple this first, this side's going to be really hard to fold. So I leave that there. Move on to the other side, tuck it in, and you may want to practice this a few times before you do it with your first major piece, because this can be a little bit tricky. But if you're used to stretching your own canvases, it's pretty much the exact same thing. Okay. The edges are stapled. Flip it to the other side. Same thing. Okay, now we need to staple down all these sides. What you don't want to do is do one side, then the next, and the next. You want to flip it back and forth so that the paper is being stretched evenly. If your staple doesn't go in the whole way, it's no big deal. You can always hammer that in later. Okay, and then you just keep dividing between the previous staples. Your corners might get a little squishy, so just pull them together. And, you can never have too many staples. When there's not enough staples, it will dry unevenly and it will warp. Sorry, this part's pretty boring. Okay. Oh, one more side. Okay, so it's not going to look amazing at first. Right now you can see that it's still wet. It will bow a little bit, that's just because it's wet. As it dries, the paper will pull tighter, and it will have that drum-like surface that I had shown you guys before. So now, one thing to keep in mind is that while this is drying, do not do anything to speed it up, because even if you use something like a hair dryer, if one section dries more quickly than the rest, the paper will be uneven. But if for any reason something does go wrong and the paper is uneven, you can always re-wet it and see if that will pop it back into place. And if not, you know, it's not that big of a deal to start over. Just take out all your staples, submerge the paper in water, and then redo all the stapling. My camera died, so I'm back. Okay, so where we left off was I just talked about this bowing and how it'll dry evenly and what to do if it doesn't. Okay, what I was going to get to was the reason why watercolor paintings and most other things are under glass is because it has to be protected by, hate to lose, from UV rays and dust, water damage, and other things like that. So my solution to that is using something like this, which is, this is a varnish. This is an archival varnish with, let's see, it's a protective finish for fine artworks, removable for conservation purposes, offers good dirt, dust, and moisture resistance, and a flexible film. It contains ultraviolet light filters and stabilizers, providing archival protection, reducing light damage. So a few coats of this stuff, when you are done with the paint, don't put it on now because then you can't paint on it, will do pretty much the same thing that putting it under glass would do. So if dust gets on it, you can wipe it off. You know, it's safe from sunlight, and it'll basically just make it last a whole lot longer. Then the only thing you have left to worry about is its fragility. But my defense, what I would always tell people was like, well, why would you do that? You can just poke a hole through it. Well, one, just be really careful, obviously, but it's a work of art, so you're not going to be tossing it around like a frisbee, hopefully. So just take good care of it, and hopefully people who buy your work will do the same, and they'll see that it's a really special thing to have. So anyway, thanks for watching the video. I hope that you guys find it useful, and if you try it out yourself, please let me know how it works for you. And if you have any questions, just leave them in the comments, or you can email me through my website, and I'll be happy to help you guys out. Alright, take care.